A2 was the best raceable track of the entire year. Yes, you subtract 2 mudders, it's pretty much a 50-50 between A1 and A2. I'm going to get into those lines. However, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about what happened at opening ceremonies. Jett Lawrence got a resounding boo. And what is really the context of booing somebody? It is disapproving of their actions. And what are they disapproving of? We all know the emotional outspurt of grabbing Jason Lawrence, and Jason went to social media, and it's gone up to this whole turn knob to 1,000. And I want to say that cynics criticize while winners analyze. And he is not a coward in any shape or form by staying silent. It is actually a sign of courage and him having a good set of people around him that are building him up. Because without that, Jett would not be the person that he's going to be. Deegan would not be the rider or the person he is without the group of people around you. The people that are really successful in life are people that put a bunch of 10s around them rather than people that drag them down. And it's really disheartening to see that everyone wants to see this guy fail. But in the same turn, it proves that he has made it, that he is the guy everyone is looking at. He is the future of the sport. Man, the amount of weight that's on an individual like that is crazy. His job is to race motorcycles, and there is so much more to that it is very hard to try to put yourself in one of these guys' shoes. You wouldn't want to do it, because everyone thinks these guys have it easy or they're a spoiled brat or that, but you don't understand the amount of workload that they do. Successful people don't get where they are without freaking keeping it WFO, doing what others are unwilling to do, even if you have talent. Well, talent means preparation equals success. And so bigger the fall, the bigger the comeback. Let's effing go, Jett. And that is all I'm going to say on that aspect. Let's move on to the king of Supercross. Yes, you heard me, the king. Throughout history, kings come and go. The new one is Tomac, and he is arguably maybe on his way out. Watch him through the whoops the entire night. This, to me, was super impressive. Just that simple, itty-bitty seat bounce. A lot of the guys in the rollers were going roll, 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 roll. Not Tomac. Tomac, comes in, just little seat bounce, gets his speed up. Here he is skimming the whoops, but later we saw Whiskey Throttle, David Pingree stuff, got a different perspective of later on where he was the only rider coming in and wheel tapping too, landing on the 4th. And why is that outstanding? Well, for one, it looks cool. But more than that is it's him analyzing the track and putting his front wheel down where there's not really many ruts, where everyone was kind of jumping and landed on the 3rd one. This guy is landing on the 4th one. And here we can look at it again because it's just that freaking cool. Raw. And what people don't get is the context that these suckers are 5 speed bumps stacked on top of each other. And now you're going to just take a 2-wheel, 250-pound motorcycle, and you're just going to decide to start wheeling over these walls. Incredible. Here, we have another look of it that he was doing in the race during round 3 when he ended up winning that main event. Just beautifully executed. Just beautifully executed. Here, we'll watch that again. Only rider to do it. And notice that he does have the braces on his A-Star boots that are going to help with the support of that ankle. It's not going to let the boots flex as much. Next, we'll move on to Cooper, where Cooper is rolling these 2, and then he's going to wheelie into the first one, and he's going to triple all the way. It's arguably pretty close to just as fast, but what was more impressive is what he does after the fact. This, to me, it blew my mind. What he's about to do is he's going to take a 90-degree corner and he's going to accelerate around the whole thing. He's going to do a Marc Marquez road racing line where he's going to barely brake and then just accelerate around the whole thing. Watch. Wow. And here's a couple points. This is the main line. Here's another line that is just super slow. You just come in, you blow up the berm, the dirt is going to slow you down, and you're going to do a 90. What he's doing is he brakes beforehand, and he's not even covering his line with Kenny. He's leaving the inside wide open. This is, again, in my previous video with Sexton and Jett, where I was going, why didn't Sexton just try to huck around, do the Cooper Webb thing? But no, he just let the guy by. Anyway, there's that one if you want to check it out, if you want my opinion. But look at this. He brakes and then just accelerates. And it's beautiful technique because where is his body positioning? He is weighting that outside peg, and he's got his ass crack on the seam of that to where all the weight is on top of the motorcycle. So he's not really leaning over with the motorcycle. Sometimes, the majority of the time, you will do that in a rut because the rut is catching you. Here, in case that ass end slips out, he needs to be able to stand back straight up. And if he's on top of the motorcycle, he's able to do it. If he's leaning with the motorcycle and that motorcycle gives out, he's going down with that bike. It's just a innate nature that these guys do because they're one with the motorcycle. And this, I'm spending so much time on it because it's just that freaking cool. Boom. And we'll move on to some more whoop action where Tomac was actually wheel tapping the more screwed up whoops, the shorter of the two, but I would say it was the harder set of the two. Watch him come in here. Rot does the same thing, lands down on the fourth one and continues to just jump through them. And we have Jett, who I think this was probably the fastest anyone ever went through the whoops as far as jumping wise, but he is not wheel tapping a double. He's just wheel tapping once. But then he's going to triple, quad out. Wow. The skill set and just the no shits given in order to be able to do something like that. Come in here hot, wheel tap, triple in, triple, quad. Take some cojones for sure. All right. This is really cool. Jason Anderson, he said it on his podcast with Jace, how much he loves to grind. It used to not be something that this rider liked to do, but it is apparent that this guy tests at the track. I'm going to have you watch him go over the finish line, and then I'll tell you what I see that's so impressive. Okay, looks like just going around a corner. What is so impressive is normally a rider here with a 90-degree corner, they're going to land on that rear brake and use it as a foot peg to just briefly slow them down so they can load that motor, drop the clutch, and get going. A Tomac type motor build, that guy likes to just load the sucker and come out like a jet engine, just boom, a dragster. This is very methodical, very slow. The way that this motor, I believe, is built is not very torquey. It is more of a lugger, somebody where Jason rides around in third, fourth gear, just rah, rah, and he's got enough power because he is keeping the momentum up, and it's going to help him stay loose. Because if there's anything about Jason's riding style, it is loose. It is loosey-goosey. It's one with the motorcycle. It's not stiff. It's not really moving around a lot. It just looks fluid, and that suspension works so well underneath him. But anyway, that's an over-winded explanation of his riding technique, but he is going to land and he is away from that rear brake, not even touching it again. And what does he do? The suspension moves underneath him. He's going to coast, not brake. And then he'll do the Cooper Webb thing where now he's going to start at the beginning of the corner where most guys are braking. He is accelerating. It's not a hard acceleration, but it's just enough to be able to do the triple. So smooth, but just floating, not braking. Yeah, everyone says that you're either on the brakes or you're off the brakes. No, Jason is a clear example that he has done testing that without the Lip Pro or stuff, you probably would think you're going slower around because you're not hot on the power. He is just just keeping the speed up, not slowing down whatsoever. Just Mr. Momentum is this dude. Here, let's watch it again. he is a different rider this year. I expect big things out of the old man, I want to say, but he's a dad. Oh, and here, he was one of the only guys that was really doing the big hits where you had the triple quad that I really thought was slower at first because that quad shot you up so high. And y'all know if you're high in the air, the power's not on the ground, you're not moving forward. So if you can scrub and stay low, even if it is a triple, more often than not, it's going to be faster. But as the night moved on, this line right here got super rutted because everyone was taking it where they're double, then tripling on. What Jason is able to do is by tripling into something and taking the harder line, it actually becomes the easier, smoother line towards the end of the races, especially in that race 3, because there's no ruts when you're landing and transitioning. There, the percentage of likelihood of you making a mistake is just less because there's less obstacles on the track that you have to deal with. Here, this was in the, I believe, first one where he's getting around Ken, and he ends up making a mistake by over jumping. And wow, that factory suspension, being able to huck something like that and not die. I'm sure his hands hurt afterwards, but wow. He knew it was happening, and he tried to slow himself down and adjust with his body language by looking at him way back on the bike, standing straight up. And this is where a lot of guys do stuff wrong, is they think they're standing up, but they actually stand forward. And when they stand forward on the motorcycle, it ends up kicking them to where they endo. But if you're actually standing up, well, now you're going to keep that front wheel high, and you're not going to have an endo effect. Could you imagine if Jason went off this sucker and started endoing? He would have killed himself. Freaking killed himself. So here, we'll watch him do it smoothly where there is no ruts in the transitions. And this is where it ended up being faster later on in the evening. And hey, if you guys enjoy this content, make sure that you hit that like button and you subscribe. Just WFO, both of them. It helps me out. It helps the YouTube algorithm out. I sincerely appreciate every single one of you guys that are back behind me and are starting to enjoy the content and hit the subscribe button. The last thing I'm going to show you is the General. Yes, I'm going to call him the General because he is an anomaly. He is somebody that the older he gets, the faster he gets, which normally, like somebody like me, the older you get, the faster you were. Completely different. His best races are still ahead of him, I am sure. Go Phil, get on the podium. All us vet riders are behind you. However, look at this. Every other rider is on the front of the motorcycle. Those grates, I talk about them a lot, that they are so sticky that you have to have these motorcycles pushed down to the depths of hell. That's how far you have to push these suckers down. I really think that the whole shot buttons should be a thing of the past when it comes to Supercross with the implementation of this metal gate, because you need to have a hit like Jason Anderson's to pop the sucker out because of how far down these things are. Anyway, it's not going to happen. I just think it's a safety thing. The way he is starting, Phil's starting technique, look at how far back he is on the bike. He's straight up and down. He's in the middle of the bike where everyone else is on top of it. I just think that Club MX has got to have some sort of a special map in order to let him be able to do that, because these bikes are so hard not to wheelie over. And we know that Yamaha under Club MX is a fast mofo for the amount of starts that he gets. But this technique right here is interesting to point out. Every other rider is very up on front of the motorcycle trying to keep that sucker from wheeling. We hear a lot of guys say that they have to double clutch it because it starts wheeling and popping out. And you could do something like Joe Shimoda did last weekend where he completely misses the rut as that front wheel is trying to drop back down and it screws up your start. That is something special and something I just wanted to point out.